Welcome back, Bible Reading Club kids. Okay, let's dive into this. Today we've got an absolutely epic explainer ahead of us. We're looking at John's incredible, literally mind-bending vision in Revelation chapter 14. Now this chapter, it's packed with dramatic symbols, loud voices echoing from heaven, and some truly wild imagery. But don't worry, we're going to break the whole shebang down together. To keep us from getting lost in these wild symbols, we actually have a clear map of our 4 tour stops today. First up, the Lamb on Mount Zion. Second, 3 angels bring messages. Third, the patience of the saints. And finally, the harvest of the earth.
All right, stop number 1, the Lamb on Mount Zion. Just imagine John looking up and seeing this totally breathtaking scene.
But get this, the Lamb isn't alone. Look at that massive number. 144,000 people are standing right there with him. And then, John hears a voice from heaven, and it sounds, well, just incredible. Picture the absolute loudest thing you can think of. John says it sounded like the roaring of many waters. Think of a massive roaring waterfall, and like great booming thunder. But woven into all that intense roaring and thundering is this beautiful sound of harpers playing their harps. It's literally the ultimate heavenly choir.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how John shows everyone wearing a sort of team jersey, if you will, to show exactly who they belong to. But instead of wearing it on a t-shirt, it's right on their foreheads. The 144,000 standing with the Lamb have his Father's name written right there on their foreheads. They are clearly on Team Lamb. And later in the chapter, John contrasts this with Team Beast, who get a different mark in their forehead or in their hand. It's just a super powerful way to show total, absolute loyalty.
And this huge, loyal crowd on Team Lamb is doing something very special. They're singing, as it were, a brand new song right before the throne, the 4 beasts, and the elders. But here's the catch. It's kind of like a super exclusive VIP club chant. The text tells us that absolutely no one else could learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth.
John also tells us a bit more about what makes this group so special. In verse 5, he says, "In their mouth was found no guile." Now, guile is a pretty old-fashioned word, but it just means deceit, trickery, or lying. So what John is basically telling us is that Team Lamb is completely honest. They're totally without fault before the throne of God. Let's quickly summarize what makes these followers so incredibly devoted to their leader. They're pure and undefiled. They follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth, which means absolutely everywhere. That's total dedication, right? Plus, they were redeemed from among men, meaning they were saved and purchased back. And they are the firstfruits unto God in the Lamb, which is like a special offering of the very, very best. And that brings us to part 2 of our map. 3 angels bring messages. The scene shifts, and suddenly, John looks up to see 3 different angels flying right through the middle of heaven. Let's break down exactly what these angels are shouting. Step 1. The first angel flies with the everlasting gospel to preach to every single nation, language, and people on earth. Step 2. A second angel follows right behind, announcing some massive news, that the great wicked city of Babylon is fallen. And step 3. A third angel comes with a very serious warning for anyone who chooses to worship the beast or receive his mark. Let's actually listen to exactly what that first angel says. Imagine a loud, earth-shaking voice booming right out of the sky, "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters." The angel is calling everyone, everywhere, to turn their attention and give glory back to the true creator of the universe. But remember that third angel? Yeah, his message is much heavier. It says that those who worship the beast will drink of the wine of the wrath of God. They'll face fire, brimstone, and have no rest day or night. Now, Bible Reading Club kids, I know this imagery of fire and torment sounds really intense and maybe even a little scary, but we have to remember what this really represents. It simply shows God's ultimate justice. It's a rock-solid promise that evil doesn't get to win in the end. God sees the wrong in the world, and he absolutely will make it right. Moving on to section 3, patience of the saints. After those intense, booming messages from the angels, John's vision brings us into a moment of deep comfort. Let's enter the most encouraging part of this whole explainer. John writes down a really crucial reminder here. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.
So, the crucial point is that God's followers just need to be patient. Even when the world is completely chaotic or when evil seems super strong, the saints just need to keep God's rules and hold tightly to their trust in Jesus.
And there's a beautiful promise attached to this patience. John hears another voice from heaven telling him to write this down. Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. The Spirit says that they will rest from their labors, and their works follow them. It's this amazing heavenly reassurance. Standing strong for God, even when it's really hard, leads to a beautiful, peaceful rest. Every little bit of good you do for Him, it's remembered. All right, Section 4, the harvest of the earth. Let's ramp the excitement back up. We have officially reached the fourth and final act of our explainer tour today, a giant harvest happening right on the clouds of heaven. Just look at the cinematic picture John paints for us here. He looks, and behold, a brilliant white cloud. And sitting on that cloud is one like unto the Son of Man. He's wearing a shining golden crown on his head. He looks totally victorious and completely in charge. But he isn't just sitting there. In his hand, he holds a sharp sickle. Just to make sure we can all visualize this, a sickle is a farming tool with a long, sharp, curved blade. It's used for swinging through fields and harvesting crops like wheat. So, the Son of Man and the angels who join him are fully equipped for a massive harvest. Then, an angel comes right out of the heavenly temple and cries with a massive, urgent voice to the one sitting on the cloud, "Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." The waiting is over. The time for action has finally arrived, and the Son of Man swings his sickle, reaping the earth. But there's actually a second part to this harvest. Another angel comes out with a sharp sickle, and an angel who has power over fire tells him to gather the clusters of the vine of the earth. When the grapes are fully ripe, they're gathered and thrown into a winepress. A winepress is basically a large basin where grapes are placed and crushed underfoot to squeeze out all the juice.
In John's vision, this final farming metaphor is super dramatic. The angel gathers the vine of the earth, but he doesn't cast it into just any basin. He casts it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And this winepress is trodden or stomped on outside the city. This final sequence is a sweeping, undeniable victory where all the wickedness that has been growing like a wild vine is finally, fully dealt with.
To show just how huge and complete this judgment is, John gives us some really startling measurements. He says blood came out of the winepress so deep that it reached all the way up to the horses' bridles, and it flowed for a distance of 1,600 furlongs. That is about 200 miles. To put that into perspective, that's like driving on the highway for over 3 hours straight. And this brilliantly illustrates the true meaning behind these giant numbers and intense images. It's not meant to just scare us, it's meant to assure us of God's massive victory. It means evil is completely, totally defeated once and for all. God's justice is perfect, and His kingdom will stand forever, exactly like those 144,000 standing strong with the Lamb at the very beginning of our tour. We've seen the Lamb, heard the angels, and witnessed the final harvest. But it all comes back to how we live today. So I want to leave you with this question. How can you show the patience of the saints in your own life this week? How can you keep God's commandments and trust in Jesus even when things get difficult? Think about that as you go through your week. Stay faithful to the Lamb, Bible Reading Club, and keep learning.